days I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there's just 274 days until Christmas 2024. Oh my goodness. We're getting there little by little. And I just came back from Montreal. My wife and I were up there for a week, mostly business, but we were up there. We had a free day on Saturday. You know what happened? It snowed like it wanted to. That's what happened. Oh, it was cold, and we got snowed on, but we made the best of it anyway. We were out. We went up and saw St. Joseph's Oratory Cathedral up there. We went and saw the Biodome, had a great time doing that, and then spent some time in old Montreal going through the shops there before we called it a day and ordered pizza. That's about it. But the next thing, we're headed to Memphis, Tennessee in just a couple more weeks. And I know one person's already reached out to me and say, "Hey, Santa, we're in my neck of the woods. Can we meet up?" The answer is absolutely we can meet up. So if you happen to be in the Memphis area and you haven't reached out to me yet, go do that. And I'll get a hold of you. Then the last thing is the next event after that, we're going back out to Kansas City. And so the same offer. If you're in the Kansas City area and you'd like to meet up, you can meet us there. But you know what happens when Santa's away? All the elves come out, and they released a super special announcement, something that I've been waiting for since the very, very beginning. Been waiting for since Mandalorian season 1. Been wishing for it, been harping about it, been going on and on about it. Of course, you guys know what that is. Those are the Blurrgs. I need my vintage collection mainline version Blurrgs. We do have, I have right over here a 3D model printed Blurrg that I was gifted by X-Wing over a year ago. And I love that thing. I've got Quill sitting right on top of it, riding in. So that's great. But I'm super excited we'll be getting those Blurrgs. Before I cover that, though, I want to go ahead and address, we got a super chat from Mumbo Jumbo, $10 super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. Oh, thank you. He says, Ohio. Ohio. Thank you for that. Hello, all. Does anyone else think that Master Soul is trolling the Jedi youngling at 34 seconds in the Acolyte trailer who doesn't have eyelids to close during the meditation? I saw that. So funny. So funny. Everybody close your eyes. The guy doesn't have eyelids. It's fantastic. I need you to concentrate. What do you see? Well, I see you because I can't close my eyes. That's what. Thanks, buddy. Can you at least, help a kid out? Give him a night mask or something, right? Got to do something. Give him a chance. Give the poor kid a chance. We'll talk a little bit about the Acolyte too. We missed a lot of things last week. That Acolyte trailer came out, and some folks have reached out to me and said, "Hey, Santa, what do you think of that Acolyte trailer?" We'll talk about that in just a little bit. So hold on for that. I see we've got our friends out here, Star Wars Fits, Mike Yaney, Skywalker's Academy. Brandon, good to see you too. And of course, right there at the very beginning, trolling me before anybody else. First in the stream, first to troll, Matt Risman. One of these days, buddy. Pow! Zoom to the moon. No, some of you will get that reference. Many of you are way too, no idea. Even I'm too young for that, but it was on reruns when I was growing up. Because you know what we did? We had broadcast TV. You watched what was on. That's what. There were no other choices. Baymax, this guy here, fantastic Baymax. Thanks for dropping in. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this TVC Blurrg. It's a big day for Santa. Really big day. Dale says Plagueis is being kept alive. I hope so. Oh boy, I hope so. I would love to see him in a vat there on Tantus, and they're extracting his midichlorians and trying to implant them somewhere else, and they're just torturing him like he did his subjects in that book. That book that's about Palpatine. Yeah, so hopefully we see that. Who else is here? See, Nick is there as well. Good to see you, my friend. And who else? There we go. Nick, you too. You and I'm going to be going over to Europe one of these days. Eventually, it's going to happen. Currently trying to plan it for our anniversary, late October, maybe early November. And for my friends that are there, we've got Greg Robertson. You know him as Darth Elvis, and Star Wars Fitz. Greg is up in Scotland. Fitz is in Ireland. We've got Meg in London area, as well as Martin Keeler and, David Tree from All the Cool Stuff. And of course, Baymax, if available, we're going to try to meet up. And Nick, you're in those neck of the woods as well. And if we can work out to cross paths, that would be great, as well as the old bestman of bulletins, the bestman of bulletins, maybe. We'll see. But a lot of things still have to happen for that to happen. So here we go. Let's talk about this. This is the biggest news of the year so far as it goes for Santa. Absolutely thrilled to death about this. We had a Star Wars Hasbro Pulse. It was Star Wars Imperial March fan stream for March, and they announced a bunch of figures, but it was at the end when they announced the pipelines. And these pipelines are things that they've already greenlit. These things are happening. They're on the list. We're gonna release them, and they're supposed to come out before the end of the year for pre-order, for order, and super excited about that. So what they announced here was the jetpack troopers. They fly now. We've got some of those guys. How great is that? We've got some jetpack troopers. Grand Admiral Thrawn from the Ahsoka series. Still waiting for the Balin and Shin vintage collection figures. That's I hope they're just late because they're trying to get them absolutely perfect. But we haven't seen those either. Fitz, I see you. You're terrible. And 4-pack of X-Wing pilots. I've seen some discussion about these X-Wing pilots too, because the X-Wing pilots that are listed on the little thumbnail there are actually not standing. Well, there's question about exactly what they're flying. That's an X-Wing behind them, right? This is an X-Wing back here behind them, but they're more like snow speed pilots, snow speeder pilots. We'll see who they are, but they're wearing sort of X-Wing pilot suits. And there's a question about, will any of them be identifiable figures or not? Or will they just be 4 X-Wing pilots? We'll find out. But then came the news that Santa's been waiting for all along. I'm going to turn on the closed caption, turn off the volume. I'm going to play this, and you will see the pipeline reveals. They said the world building is more than just vehicles. Oh, Oh, we're going to have the Blurrg and the Mandalorian. Finally, it's so fun. So they announced that the thing about the Blurrg is it comes with a Mando. Now, we are no shortage of Mandalorian figures in the vintage collection line. Let me just tell you, there are plenty of Mandalorians. I've got Mandalorians galore. I've got like 5 of them over here on on my collection, just from the Mandalorian. So with every Blurrg, you get another Mando. You get another Mandalorian. Hopefully, at some point, they will separate that out, and you can buy just the Blurrg, and they'll box them with other cards. So as I've mentioned before, the Blurrgs go all the way back to Caravan of Courage, those Ewok movies in the late 80s, and you can see Blurrgs in the stop motion there. You could put it on a Caravan of Courage card. You could put it on, of course, the Clone Wars animated series card. They were in there too. Rebels as well. And there's color variations among Blurrgs. So all they have to do is repaint and repack those things, and then you can get other Blurrgs, not with the Mando card, not with the Mandalorian included. I'm not sure why we need to have the Mandalorian there. We've already had it says an awesome creature pack, a Moore's playset, blah, blah, blah. And then Gideon's Imperial Light Cruiser Hallway. We'll talk about that in just a second. But in any event, you see the Blurrg and Mandalorian. As I mentioned, my 3D Blurrg, I've got Quill sitting on him right over here. So if I want to recreate just from season 1, where Mando and Quill are riding across the plains, I get 2 Mandos and no Quills. Now, of course, I've already got a Quill, but why do I need another Mando? Just release it as I know maybe they're thinking, well, this is a bonus figure. Like we need more Mandalorian figures. We don't. We got plenty. I don't need more. I'm good. I'm good. But we're getting one anyway. You're good and get it. You're going to like it. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So you're going to get a Blurrg. You know, Santa's ordering minimum out the gate 3, right? More like maybe 5, right? I'm going to order minimum 3, more like 5. 2 of them immediately gone on the desk with Mando and Quill on them, right? 2 immediately. There's Mike Porter, the chosen pun. He's in the room. Good to see you, Mike Porter. By the way, I have not populated my Mike Porter dad joke of the day in the melon here in the streaming platform. So I'll have to go grab the Mike Porter dad joke of the day off of Meg's Discord or from Twitter. You guys make sure you're subscribed to Mike Porter. But there you go. So let's go up here. Baymax put a couple of things on. He says the Hasbro intern used the first Google image of Rebel pilots, and they're not actual X-Wing pilots. So there's an X-Wing behind them, and they're pilots. X-Wing pilots. See how you get there? They're not actual X-Wing pilots. Right. Let's see. Baymax, have you been following the Star Wars Vintage Collection March Madness fan polls? I have vaguely been following them. I see updates on what's his name? Well, of course, Tim, Boss Bounty, but I'm thinking Yak Face every now and then posts updates on that as well. He says they just got to the final of the bracket voting from the top 32 down to the last 2. It's Balin versus Pong Krell. Oh my gosh, Pong Krell. I just saw another thing where Pong Krell is included in a pack. I'm like, why would you? One of the most despicable Jedi of all time, Pong Krell. My goodness, if you guys don't know who Pong Krell is, you got to go back and watch the Clone Wars animated series. That dude is despicable. He's a horrible excuse for a Jedi. One of the you want to talk about how a lot of the new Disney Star Wars is demonizing Jedi and the kind of blurring the lines. Well, go watch Pong Krell. He's no blurring of any line. He's a despicable dude. He ain't good. He's no good. Balin versus Pong Krell. Fantastic. Hey, look, Star Wars Obsession. Good to see you, my friend. Hello. Star Wars Fit says, I just Googled Pong Krell. Why would they want him? Well, he is notorious. He is a notable. He is, as despicable as you'll ever find. He is. Hey, hello, Sabersmith. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Don Basham says, hope you're well and had a good week last week. I did, Don, and very much looking forward to a trip to Memphis. That should be great. Yeah, Pong had no love for clones whatsoever. That's true. You need villains to fight with. Yeah, Pong Krell, he's a Jedi, but he's a bad guy. This is fascinating discussion that we'll get to more as we get to the Acolyte here. I want you all to remember folks like Pong Krell, folks like Ahsoka Tano, folks like let's say Mace Windu, right? But more like Pong Krell. I want you to remember him. Just and who was the other one? The absolutely heartless Jedi Master. Just like, oh, my Padawan's stuck in a cave. I'll just go get a new one. You know, it's sort of like you drop your ice cream on the ground. You're like, oh, dang. Drop my ice cream on the ground. That sucks. I'll go get a new one. Well, it's fine. She's stuck in a cave. Why go try to rescue her? I'll just get a new one, right? Not all the Jedi or all the Jedi Masters were, right there. Would you say Krell is a good villain? I'd say he's a despicable villain. He's despicable. Such a terrible. All right, there's Yachty. My bro just got me the Pong Krell Rex Funko pack. That's where I saw it, the Funko pack. And I got rid of the 2 Funkos to accommodate that. Clone Wars over everything. Clone Wars is a fantastic series. Fantastic. Wookiee Talks. Hello, yes, Luminara. You just go back to the Padawan store and get yourself a new one. It's no problem. You lose a Padawan, get a new one. They're disposable. You just get another one, right? Oh my goodness. Oh, Jedi, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? But at the end of the day, we're getting the Blurrg. And Santa could not be happier. I'm in a great mood. The Blurrg has been missing. It's been in about every Star Wars series that we've ever gotten for TV. It's been a dominant character or creature through the eras. You go prequel, Clone Wars, original trilogy, sequel trilogy, or not quite sequel, right? The Mandoverse. They're the horse of Star Wars, the Blurrg, and they've been missing from the vintage collection for far too long. I had to celebrate today. I wanted to celebrate it last week when it was announced, but I couldn't do it. Because I was up in Montreal and I couldn't get online to do that. Yes, Fitz, they finally listened and got the Blurrgs, because Santa wasn't the only one going on about it, right? I'm just a tiny voice in the wind. But when you hear folks like Boss Bounty, Tim, probably the best vintage collection channel right there, Only One Kenobi. I love that guy too. Only One Kenobi and Boss Bounty. Those are my guys. I love those guys. And both of them going on the championing for the vintage collection Blurrgs. So that's great. It's great for the community, great for the franchise. Super, super happy. And like I said, 3 minimum, 5 if they'll let me. I'm thinking I need 5 of them. Of course, it's probably going to cost me, $70-$80 each. Just knowing Star Wars, knowing it, that's going to be a plunk of money. Just saying. Now we just need that TK Poncho Trooper from the Bad Batch. Oh, we're going to talk about the Bad Batch too, and that's basically what we're here for today, right? I had to celebrate the Blurrg being released. I couldn't let that go. But we've got to talk about the Bad Batch. And I was unable to do a watch party last week. So we're going to talk a little bit about episode 8. We'll review it. I'm going to show you all the prediction scores. You can see just below the wall of fame for episode 8, KG at the very top with 11. That means she got all 10 questions right and the bonus point. We didn't have any 5-point bonus points this week, but lots of 1-pointers. And so K got all 10 plus 1, 11. KG knocked it out of the park with a perfect prediction form. Then we had a few people right behind that. You see listed there on the wall of fame. But something else developed. The season leaderboard. Everybody fell off. Oh boy. Our season leaderboard folks fell behind. Santa was able to pass. So I'll show you how all this plays out. Let me pull this over here and go through it with you all real quick for episode 8. Episode 8. I really enjoyed the episode, you guys. I know I was anticipating people calling it filler, but 100% not filler, right? There was Dale. Dale, you know better. Where you all see Dale's prediction? Not a 5-pointer. I saw it and I was like, Dale, that's barely a 1-pointer, right? Almost not a 1-pointer. It was so bad. But I liked the episode a lot. We knew we needed something to get us back to Fennec Shand. We know that the bounty hunters are involved. And we had a great episode where Omega was able to spend some time with Crosshair, working on his physical and mental health. And we got more insight there. Was fantastic setup there. And then on the other side, we had Hunter and Wrecker out working with or for Fennec Shand to get intel about this M-Count project that the Empire is working on, only to find out at the very end, Fennec doesn't know a thing about it. So she had to phone a friend. Hello? I've got some folks asking about some M-Count stuff. What are they talking about? Never heard of it before. What's this all about? Maybe you could help. Thanks, friend. Right. That was the end of the show. So there you go. We've got the episode as a whole. It's going to tie right into this week for episode 9. Episode 9. And we'll talk about that in just one moment. I've got that as well. So first of all, here are the predictions for episode 8. Let me increase the size here so you all can see. And you can, let's see if I can extend it just a little bit so you can see everybody. So Star Wars Meg was in the game this week. Good to see her. I love Meg and her content. Someone will mention following orders. No, we didn't get any of that. I rewatched it this morning just to make sure I didn't get any of the questions wrong. Someone's killed a non-droid. In fact, that did happen in the cantina as Hunter and Wrecker were on their way in. Somebody pushes somebody, they get shot, killed, and then the other one gets bonked and they fall down. So somebody did get shot and killed. It was a non-droid. A droid was referred to by name. Omega did refer to AZ. A ship fires on another ship. No, we didn't have any kind of action like that. Mount Tantus, Wayland. Look, Santa predicted yes. The answer was no. That's one of the two that I got wrong. A bounty hunter shows up. We did see that preview that Fennec was going to be in the episode. So I had said all along that no bounty hunters in the first 8 or first 7. However, that trailer came out, that little teaser came out. I was like, oh, look, there she is. I said, she's prominent in the trailer and she's working alongside the batch. My only question was she going to be a bounty hunter or was she going to be in some other capacity? Because she was certainly helping the batch or working alongside them in the trailer. Turns out, yes, bounty hunter, 100% bounty hunter. No question about it. No debate. No, it's bounty hunter. The Fennec Shand, bounty hunter. Mount Tantus, again, I thought maybe we would see it. We didn't. You'll see, I got the point. I said at the end, no. This was another one. I changed my answer just after I saw. I was going to say here. There's Wayland Tantus. Here, I got these. I skipped the Wayland Tantus one. I initially thought we would see it until I saw that trailer and I saw them, Hunter and Wrecker with Fennec in the swamp fighting the alligators. I was like, oh, maybe not. So I changed my answer to no. No, we did not see Tantus. Yes, we did see a bounty hunter. A named character from another series? No. If we see one at all, it's very likely to be at the very, very end. Hey, Jedi Mike, he's headed to school to drop off an iPad for one with another homesick dad life. Oh, the Jedi Mike, thanks for dropping in. Good to see you. May the force be with you as well. Thank you so much. Jedi Mike, always there for us. Thanks for being here. So a named character from another show. I think the answer to this is going to be no all the way. I was asked, what's the potential that we could see Grogu by the end of the series? I think low, extremely low, like less than 5% low. Not impossible, could happen. I just do not expect to see him at all. I think there's a much higher possibility of perhaps seeing Ahsoka, only because she shows up in Rebels. She's around. This is the time where she's kind of in hiding, but she's still like there. I mean, she's in Galaxy. She's around. She shouldn't be in it. And I don't think she will be in it. But if I were to pick somebody that we might see, I would pick Ahsoka before I picked Grogu. And actually, before that, I would go with somebody like Mon Mothma or Leia Organa, somebody like that. So there you go. But Leia here, still very young, like, oh my gosh, young, right? like little toddler young, right? She's just a little girl in Kenobi, which is 5 years after, 4 years after, whatever. So here she'd be like under 5 years old. So I don't think we're going to see Leia Organa either, just to be clear on that. Right? Someone will use the Force, observable. So named character, I'm going to say no all the way through. And if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. But I'm always going to say no. Someone uses the Force. I said no because I did not expect. We saw Fennec. I didn't expect to see Asajj Ventress. When we see Asajj, I do think we'll see the Force. So that's where my bet is, because Asajj is definitely Force sensitive. She uses her lightsaber. We've seen that. We'll talk about her in just a moment as well. Flashback scene. We've not seen one the entire season. I'm going to guess we never see one, and I'll just keep hedging my bet and saying no every week. And if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. A species talks with the subtitle. This was a good week. What could have been happening, but it didn't. So no is still the one that got the point. So if we look now at our bonus questions, and I resorted these alphabetical, Baymax went with Omega does target practice with their new crossbow on Pabu. That would have been great. We saw Crosshair doing some target practicing. Wouldn't it have been great to see Omega doing that right side by side with him? No, didn't happen. Would have been great, but it didn't happen. Dale, Skywalker's Academy says, would Asajj be working as a bounty hunter? She's not in the comics, is she? Says, judging by the reaction, I'd guess she's not. I don't think she is. How in the Clone Wars animated series, when we first see Boba Fett starting to get his way into the whole bounty hunter game, Asajj kind of puts him in his place, throws him in a box, and locks it. It's great. That's it. Be quiet, grow up, and learn something. Why don't you? And bet you won't. And then she leaves him there. It's great. It's a great episode. But so she was kind of bounty hunting at that time. But by the time we get to the end of the series, and when we get into, of course, the book that everybody's worried about, she's no longer bounty hunting. Not truly. So I don't expect her to be in full bounty hunter mode, but we shall see. All right. So the bonus questions. Baymax went with Omega does target practice. No. Brett says Fee recruits the batch for a mission. No, it's sort of the other way around. They contact Fee to get information about Fennec, and they get that. More reveals on the Shadow Agent conversion process. We didn't get that either. Necromancer Project makes itself known. Dawn Basham going for the points. This could have been a 5-pointer, but nope, didn't happen. I think we see Mount Tantus. No visit there. Tim's Talk. Oh, hello, Tim's Talk. Good to see you. We get a reveal of Fennec. KG says yes. That's got her 11 points. Rex is in the episode. No Rex. Pabu. This episode, yes, we spent a good time on Pabu. Cad Bane fights Fennec Shand again. Oh, that could have been 5 points. Just having Cad Bane show up would have been 1 if he did, because he's in the trailer. We'll talk about episode 8 here in 1 second, or 9, and we'll talk about that. Meanwhile, back on Mount Tantus, 0 points. There will be great tension from a situation. This is Dale's point, right? Dale, there'll be great tension from a situation. Talk about non-specific and vague. Dale, I almost said no. Dale, great tension from a situation. What situation? Unspecific. Great tension. Again, vague and non-specific. Almost was a 0-pointer, but then I looked and saw it's Dale. I was like, oh, that's Skywalker's Academy. I'll give him a point anyway. Dale, what are you doing? That's a great tension from a situation. Shame on you. You could do better than that. You could do better than that, my friend. Sly Fox, rigged. 0 points for that. Star Wars Fitz, Fennec in the episode. Yes, he got the point. Gave him 9. Star Wars Politics, the episode will have its own unique beast, monster, creature. Yes, it did. A point there. Wrecker fights with a gator-like monster. Yes, that's what I put because I saw it in that little teaser trailer. That's a 1-pointer. Batch try to find out why Omega is so important to the Empire. Yes, I gave the point. Yeah. Dale says, I get 5 for mentioning time and water in the first episode, but not the tension in this one. Yeah, no, not tension. No, that's vague. What does tension even mean? Right? No, not happening. Yeah, the Bats tried to find out why Omega's important. That's the whole reason they reached out to get hold of Finnick. That's why they did the whole thing. The whole episode's based on that. Omega shoots someone with her bow. Nope, didn't happen. And then we had a troll, and I think I know who the troll was, but I'm just going to put, we had a troll do a troll just by meaning somebody was putting one in here just to have fun. They're having fun. It's nothing harmful. It's just somebody having fun. They put their name in as trans rights, and then on the bonus question, Santa would believe in trans rights. Look, my politics and things that go on outside of Star Wars don't count. So 0 points for that, regardless of whatever my views are on trans rights. That's not what this show's about. That's not what we do here. And not gonna go there. That's how that goes. So no point. And then lastly, my good friend Star Wars Meg, she put Wrecker fights an alligator in Space Louisiana. Very good, Meg. She gets the 1 point. So that's how episode 8 went. And when we start to look then at the season leaderboard, you'll see what it looks like. So this is sorted on the season, high to low, and you'll see that from week to week, who's been on the leaderboard and who hasn't. Baymax has been doing quite strong, right? But he's only there by a little bit, sometimes just tied. But look, he's just behind, 4 points behind. All it takes is a couple of bad episodes for Santa and for Baymax to knock it out of the park. He'll be right there. But Brett Phillips, Dale, following behind, just ahead of Baymax. So we've got a few people here. KG with her 11 is catching up. And Fitz says 8 points behind, need more fivers. Yeah, you got to go for it. But it's a win-lose thing, right? 5 points or 0. And it's hard to get the 5. So we've got several folks right there in the running who have been playing every week. One of the keys to getting on the season leaderboard is to play every week. Every single week, you can see those folks trickle up to the top. And my friend Brian Stone, he sent me a message, said, I missed it. Oh no, he was doing quite well. You saw, but missing a week put him in a catch-up situation. And then everybody else is listed there as well. But you can see some folks are hit and miss getting their predictions in. So this is how the season leaderboard is adding up. We still got a number of episodes to go when people can certainly catch up and pass Santa along the way. And if you do, I'll give you some Star Wars Santa merch. I pay for it. I ship it. I pay for everything. You don't have to pay a dime. You can make it in the list. So that's the episode 8 review. I want to talk about episode 9. We've got that coming up this week. Episode 9. This is titled The Harbinger of things to come. What's coming? And what is going to happen this episode? We've got 4 people, myself, Daniel Fisher, Ethan Frowen, and Stephen Murphy have already got their predictions in. And let's see how it goes. I'll tell you my reasoning on these questions as well. Saber Smith says, enter Asajj. Oh, that's Santa's bonus point. That's what I put. No, I didn't. I put Cad Bane. Because I think Cad Bane comes first, then Asajj, but who knows? I could be wrong again. And I know that Finnick and Cad Bane have run across each other before. Finnick and Cad Bane have been bumping heads in the neighborhood. Has Finnick run into Asajj? If Finnick's phoning a friend, calling somebody to get information, she calling some lady she's never worked with before, she calling some dude that she's worked alongside or next to or against, right? You're going to call somebody who knows something, and she knows Cad Bane knows a little something, right? Cad Bane, one of the best bounty hunters of all time, definitely going to know something. So it says someone will mention following orders. I want to think I said no. I don't think so. We're past the point of saying why people are doing things, what their motivations are. My general thought on the following orders had to do with explaining how we got here and the sort of the conflict that going on from Order 66 and the fallout from there. Maybe some still that needs to happen, but maybe that's already passed. So I think I said no. Someone will be killed, a non-droid. Well, anytime Cad Bane's around, it's going to happen. Sabersmith says, how old is Cad Bane here? 50-ish? I think he's a bit younger than that, Sabersmith. I think when we get him in Mando, which is a couple decades after this, I think he's in his 60s. So I would put him in his 40-ish at this point. That's just my guess. My guess is 40-ish at this point. Somebody can correct me. I'm probably wrong. Droid will be referred to by name. I said no. We had a mention of AZ the last time. We know that Fennec phoned a friend, and we've got some stuff going on. Somebody noted that the music had a theme of Asage's theme in it. Had a little sprinkling, a little morsel of Asage's theme kind of sprinkled in. So maybe it is Asajj. Again, I have no knowledge. I'm basing this off of my own guesses. A ship fires on another ship. We're 50-50 at this point. Maybe. I think I said yes. Something's going to happen eventually. I don't know. We see Wayland and Mount Tantus. I think we're overdue. I think we're overdue for another visit back to Mount Tantus. What is Dr. Hemlock up to these days? And is he putting out the bounty to folks? We've got to get that ramped up, right? Because we know that that's sort of where the story is heading. We can kind of guess that. And so I'm thinking we've got to visit Dr. Hemlock. He's probably still on Tantus. Probably, yeah. A bounty hunter shows up. I put 100%. Well, you see there, 100% of people so far. Yes. Dale says AZ, probably in the episode, though. He'll mention the miracle of Omega's healing technique. Oh, the meditation. And, I listened to that again. Some people were picking up on, well, she learned that from Gungi. And Gungi's a Jedi, and so maybe he's teaching Omega a little Jedi meditation technique. But when she says it again, I listened to it again. She says, and from the Wookiees on Kashyyyk. And then Crosshair says back, you were on Kashyyyk? It's talking about the Wookiees, not just like spending time. Just to say Gungi taught me. I learned it from Gungi and the Wookiees on Kashyyyk. Most of the Wookiees on Kashyyyk are not force sensitive, and they wouldn't be doing a Jedi mind meditation. So I think she's learning the more general, just meditation. And that's what she's teaching Crosshair and that meditation technique. So Sabersmith says, maybe we'll see what Clone X is doing. Oh, X3. Yeah, what is he doing? No, what's he up to? I don't know. But the bounty hunter shows up. I think 100% we're going that direction. Yeah, Fitz is just being ornery, right? He's being ornery. He's trying to cause problems. And then Dale says battle meditation. No, I don't think so. I think it's just the general calming, connecting to nature that the Wookiees on Kashyyyk did, right? A named character from another show, that I don't think that's ever happening. I'm going to say no every single week. I see that it's 50-50 here. And in the question itself, let me go to question 7, because I'm very specific here about characters that count. Darth Vader, Barriss Offee, Quinlan Voss, Grogu. Those would be characters that count. No points for Cad Bane, Fennec Shand, Asajj Ventress, Emperor Palpatine, or Tarkin. That gives you a really good list of what we're talking about. If it's somebody more like, it doesn't have to be one of those 4, but if it's somebody like Vader, Offee, Voss, or Grogu, somebody like that, yeah, you can get the point. If it's somebody that we've seen in the previous season of the Bad Batch, no, it doesn't count. That's not from another show. It's not from another series, right? They're from this series. It's already been set up, and that's from another show, movie, book, comic. Right? Not that they've shown up in another, of course they have, but that they are from the other, right? And this would be basically their first appearance in this series. That would count. So that's why Vader, Offie, Voss, and Grogu. Vader, you notice, hasn't been in a previous season. However, Tarkin, Palpatine, both of them have been. So there you go. That's how the point is given. I try to give clues, and I think we've got some folks missing this question, right? Someone will use the Force, certainly. And I said yes to this. When Asajj shows up, I think she will use the Force. And so I put that. A flashback scene. We've not had a single one this entire season, and I don't think we're going to. So I'm just saying no. And when I get it wrong, if I get it wrong, so be it. I'm going to get it right more times than wrong by just saying no. A species talks in another language, and my same logic here. I'm going to get more points by saying no than I'll ever get from saying yes. So I'm always going to say no. And if I get it wrong once, so be it. I'm going to get it right 14 other times. There you go. There you go. And then bonus question. Make a guess of what might happen. This is mine. I put Cad Bane. That's my answer right there. If we flashback to Crosshair on Tantus. Oh, there's a flashback scene and Tantus. Oh, going for it. This would be a 5-pointer. That's a 5-point. That's an example of a 5-pointer right there, my friends. We'll see Asajj Ventress. That's a 1-pointer. The Bats are giving a warning of bad things that are to come. That's a 1-pointer as well. So there you go. That's my predictions for episode 9. That's my thoughts. That's the predictions preview of tonight's episode. Of course, we'll be getting together tomorrow, sometime midday, to do the watch party, rewatch for most of you, and go through your predictions. So hopefully we get more than 4. Right? Many of you are playing all along. Says Dawn asks, "How are you posting while doing a live stream?" I don't know. I posted before the live stream, so maybe your feed's just a little bit late, Dawn. I posted everything out there across all the media before the live stream, so that I'm not posting during. I'm talking to you guys. That's what's going on. Jedi Mike, are you back already? You're back already, or on your phone while you're out? Just to put #rigged in there. Very good. I promised you guys to talk a little bit about the Acolyte, because I think that that was another big story that came out the week I was out. Let me see. Also, I've got to go get this Mike Porter dad joke. Where's that? Oh, I'm just looking at Discord. Let's see. I don't see. I gotta go grab the Mike Porter dad joke real quick, because I see Jedi Mike put the Mike Porter symbol in there, and I don't want to forget. And so I do want to talk about. Hold on, where are the jokes? There they are. Here you go. Mike Porter dad joke. Here it is. Are you ready? It's not going to be on screen, but I'm going to go ahead and give it now so we don't forget. The Mike Porter dad joke. This is just the run-of-the-mill everyday dad joke that you can get by following Mike Porter on Twitter, being a member of Meg's Discord, and just being good friends with Mike, which you should do. Everybody should do. Says, why was the nest full of hornets quiet? Why was the nest full of hornets quiet? He says, well, the queen asked them to be quiet. Be quiet. There you go. Thank you, Mike Porter. Appreciate that. All right, let's get into been everywhere. Last I saw him, he was on the Empire State Building. Oh, Vader. Yeah, Vader. Yeah, Vader's been everywhere, even on the Empire State Building. Let me bring up this article about the Acolyte, because there's been a lot of discussion about this Before I talk about that, there's another thing that some people seem to be really confused about, and I'm not confused whatsoever. And I read the book, right? So there's a question about how is Asajj Ventress alive? I think it's easy. She's the Night Sister. They put her in the green foggy goo on on oh shoot, what was the name of their planet? I just lost the name of the planet. Dathomir. Right? They put her in the green foggy goo on Dathomir, and you know what happens? The green foggy goo revives people. It animates people. It brings people back from the dead, including like Maul, including people like I don't know if he was really back from the dead so much, but Maul's brother Savage was kind of brought back as well. He was a green smoke figure too. And if you, spoiler alert, you watch the Clone Wars, Maul dies again. Green smoky stuff, right? That's part of being reanimated. And I think it's easy. They brought her back, put her in the green gooey foggy stuff. Ta-da! Asajj. The end. That's it. Super easy, not confusing. Piece of cake. And they said, well, I think some people have been saying, I think that takes a lot away from the gravitas of Dark Disciple. You know, her death being so meaningful. No, it doesn't. You're right. She died. In the Asajj that's alive now is green smoke filled goopy stuff. Asajj. Not the same. She'll be transformed by it to some degree. Even if she is more or less the same Asajj, her death was very real. And she died for realsy. And now she's back. Is she back with Quinlan? What's going on there? We don't know. Will her story continue beyond this season of The Bad Batch? I think probably. There have been some indications that that's the case, but Fitz says, you look like a lumberjack in that shirt. Canada has thought, like Canadians thought you will. Yeah, it has taught me well. Is that it? It's taught me well. I also have Ohio State Buckeyes. I got my Ohio State Buckeyes shirt on, even though the men are still, I think, alive in the NIT tournament. The women have been bounced. But you know, something exciting happened for hockey fans. The Ohio State women's hockey team won the national championship in hockey this year for NCAA. So super excited about that. So Asajj, yeah, she'll be back. No big deal. It's all good. It's all good. Let's go to the Acolyte. I want to talk about it because there was some news that came out. And of course, a lot of people have opinions about the Acolyte before they've seen the first thing of it. Leslie Headland has largely divided fans who are interested in what she says outside of Star Wars or Lucasfilm. They're interested in what she has to do with her social activism. Yeah, some people love her because of it. Some people hate her because of it. Santa's ambivalent, right? My personal positions on these things are different than hers. I'm not aligned to her in any way on social policies, social issues whatsoever. Not the same. However, that doesn't mean that I don't think she could create an amazing Star Wars series and tell a fantastic story with fantastic direction. I think it could be great. And I'm very hopeful that it will be great. And I'll tell you something, this trailer that came out last week did nothing to change my opinion. Nothing, neither up or down. And you would hope that a trailer would help you get hyped. A trailer would help you get excited for something, help you really get on board and want to know more. And I was like, it was good. It was good. I didn't think the trailer was over the top fantastic. I didn't think the trailer did anything to like amp my excitement. I'm excited as I was before. I'm very, very optimistic for it. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Vernestra Rowe from the High Republic series. A little disappointed that she's the only High Republic character that Leslie said she's included. And look, I had a prolonged discussion with a friend of mine while I was in Montreal, talking about what are the possibilities that we would see Plagueis and or his master Tenebrous in the Acolyte. And as my friend Star Wars Meg pointed out, the Plagueis, his species can live well over 100 years old. Well over 100 years old. So could Plagueis be in it? Absolutely. He'd be old enough. I mean, he's going to live. It's going to be fine. He very well could be alive. The issue we have is that Tenebrous, Bith, the series, the species that is Darth Tenebrous. If you don't know what a Bith is, they're the guys that play the little saxophone thing in A New Hope. Remember New Hope, the Cantina Band? One of those dudes, a Bith. So is Darth Tenebrous, right? So Darth Tenebrous, he's like plays a little clarinet kind of thing on in A New Hope. That's a Bith. Darth Tenebrous, the Bith, they only live like a human lifespan. 80, 85 is considered quite old. Quite old. And if you back up from the Phantom Menace to the Acolyte, the Phantom Menace, if you go back and read the book where Darth Tenebrous and Darth Plagueis are supporting characters for Darth for Palpatine, right? For a younger Palpatine, you'll see in there in that book that Hugo Damask, who is Darth Plagueis, meets a young Palpatine, like a teenage, high school, college age Palpatine, and goes and tells Tenebrous about him. Okay? Bookmark that. Bookmark that. So if Tenebrous, if they keep any of that canon, if any of it, because so much of that book has already been retconned, if they keep any of it, Plagueis could be plenty old, right? That dude could be old. The issue is going to be figuring Dan's whole Arbith. Got all 5 of them. Roll Farm Boy. Yeah. So if you just back off the age of Tenebrous, he's alive. How young is he? How old is he? If you put him close to 80 years old when he runs across when Hugo Damask meets with a young Plagueis, or Palpatine meets with a young Palpatine, and Palpatine's in his teens, we can even say 20 maybe, something like that, right? College age, Palpatine. I think it was late high school, but either way, late teens, Palpatine, 16 to 19, something like that. And Tenebrous is alive. And then the Acolyte happens roughly 100 years before Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace happens a good bit before, the Plagueis book where they meet happens a good bit before Phantom Menace as well. So let's say it's 65 years, something like that, before. Okay, so Tenebrous could be 20. He could be 20. He might be 5. Right? If Tenebris was at the upper peak of his age, like closer to 80, which the book didn't seem to really indicate. If he was closer to 80, he could be as old as, I think when I was doing the math, as much as 40. If Tenebris is, say, 40 at the time of the Acolyte, is he already a Sith Lord with his pupil, Hugo Damas, Darth Plagueis, already at age 40, age 35, 30, age 20, age 20, 25? Does Tenebris already have, is he already the Dark Lord of the Sith at 25 years old? Like, if you're my age, 25, that's a young one, right? That's Star Wars Meg. She's 25. Is she the Dark Lord of the Sith? Darth Meg? I don't know. So I'm thinking that at most Tenebris is maybe 20. We could see a young Tenebris. Of course, Hugo Damas could be around, right? No problem. He might be older than Tenebris, for that matter. Not a problem. He could be around because they live moons live well over 100 years old. Yeah, he could be around. That's not the question. The question is Tenebris. And I think when you start to do the math, it doesn't work out for Tenebris to already be the master of Plagueis. I just don't think that happens. So there you go. That's the timeline there. What do we have here? Let's see. Tenebris, Plagueis, or new villain. I don't think a Sith Bith would be an intimidating enough, visually speaking. Mumbo Jimbo. I agree. I don't think a Bith is going to get anybody. However, might we see? Oh shoot! What was Darth Tenebris's actual name? The last name's a common, like a simple name. Can't remember what it is. It's like a 4-letter, 5-letter word. But anyway, Darth Tenebris, we might see him before he became Darth Tenebris. His name, he might even be a student age, like running around with these younger Jedi, in some sense. Maybe not as a Jedi, like youngling, but in that same age group with them at that point. Might you see Damask Holdings, like Hugo Damask, who is Darth Plagueis? Absolutely. But I think that the villain is likely to be none of them, or neither of them. However, there could be a tie-in. There could be a tie-in some way. Teddy Bruce Bear Biff. No. What is Darth Tenebris's real name? I have to look it up. I just went blank on it. Darth Tenebris name. It's a Rugus Gnome. Nome. Rugus Gnome is Darth Tenebris, and so might you see a young Bith named Rugus? How about, for the nerds in the room, that'll be a big moment. You see Rugus, like some teenage Bith named Rugus. You're like, oh, I know who that is. That would be super exciting. But is it going to be Darth Tenebris at that point? I don't think so. I don't think that's likely, right? I don't think it's going to be likely at all. Yeah, that would be intimidating to some. So I don't think it's likely. I think it's likely to be somebody else. The other issue that comes up that I've heard people just going on and on and on about is the line from the prequels that says the Sith have been extinct for 1,000 years, blah, 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 blah. Right? Look, this is Star Wars. If you're hanging on a quote, word by word, to be gospel truth, you're on the wrong franchise, my friends. And it goes back to the very beginning. Darth Vader killed your dad. Well, Darth Vader is your dad, and he happens to still be alive. Anakin's still Darth Vader. When you figure it all out, and you're like, "Whoa, yeah, blah blah blah." I know. I've been around. I know the story. I know how it works out. Yeah, I get it. Right? Anakin ceased to exist when Vader. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. Right? I get it. But at the same time, when you watched the show, you didn't have the other movies to go on. It was quite clear what was intended by that. And we also know that Yoda's not the most truthful dude in the world. Go watch the Clone Wars animated series, right? The dude just keeps burying evidence. That's what he does. So if somebody says, "Oh, the Jedi have, or the Sith have been extinct for 1,000 years," and Yoda looks over like, "But have they? There was that time back in the High Republic. I remember I was about 100 years old back then, 150, whatever, 250 years old. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, there were definitely Sith around. Yeah. No, he doesn't mention it, does he?" Right? And for most people, they're not going to care, right? So the Sith haven't existed for 1,000 days. Retcon it. No, there's also two ways you can look at Sith. Actually, kind of three ways you can look at it. There's an old species, isn't the right title, but species people group who were called Sith. There were thousands of them, hundreds, if not millions of them, right? They're just a race of people. That's it, a race of people that were called Sith. That was a thing. Right? That was the thing. Then there was the Sith, the religion of Sith, who practiced dark side force use to gain power. And always two there are, master and apprentice. Yeah, of course. No more, no less. That's a lie. But anyway, right? That no more, no less. That's a lie. In this whole thing about the Darth Bane rule of two, for all the people that say they love the Plagueis book, it's the bestest book of all the bestest books. Well, some of you haven't read it. Because Darth Bane's rule of two was gone. It's gone. And you know who killed Darth Bane's rule of two? I'll give you two guesses. And one of them isn't Tenebrous. Killed Darth Bane's rule of two. Gone. No longer exists. Not a thing. There could be lots of them. And I actually do think it was, yeah. She said it's a flawed theory. Bane's rule of two is a flawed theory. It's misguided, and it's a wrong implementation of the Sith. And they were about building the Sith beyond this rule of two, and it was going to happen. Yes, Dale says it pitted Palpatine against other apprentices. Tenebrous had other apprentices. It was Tenebrous that ended it, I believe. And Tenebrous says, Tenebrous had another Bith, his same species, who was an understudy. And when was it? I'm getting it confused. No, I'm getting it confused. Plagueis had a Bith understudy, and he tried to kill Palpatine. Now my brain's putting them all together, because Dale pitted Palpatine against the other apprentice. I think it was Plagueis against the other apprentice, because Plagueis kills Tenebrous, and then another Bith comes out of the woodwork, and they have to duel it out. And yeah, that's it. And then Plagueis takes that other Bith that he defeated, and he like hangs him up in the closet and keeps experimenting on him. Right. So it was the Bith that Plagueis defeated, who he keeps alive for years and does experiments on keeping people alive through the use of the dark side of the Force. So Plagueis has was already, Tenebrous ended the rule of two Plagueis had to fight other disciples that Tenebris had. Plagueis had Palpatine, and Palpatine, of course, had more than one apprentice as well. All indications are that they overlapped. And I know a lot of people do a lot of legwork to make them not overlap, but they do. So don't get too caught up on that, right? Don't get too caught up on that rule of two. Don't get too caught up on that. For 1,000 years, the Sith have been extinct. Well, maybe not. You know, as Fitz says, for two euro super chat. Thank you for that, Fitz. He says, "Don't overthink it, Santa." That's my point. Don't overthink it, my friends. Don't overthink it. It's Star Wars. Like, you can't hang on to a quote and act like it is absolute gospel fact, because it ain't. It ain't. Mumbo Jimbo, $2 super chat from Mumbo Jimbo. He says, "I agree, Santa. The Plagueis book is great." No. Naughty, not a good book. It's not the book people make it out to be, for sure. And I'm convinced that a lot of people who say it's the best of all books haven't read it. Because if they had read it, they would know. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. So what do you do with this trailer where you see this red lights there? What's that? Right? We don't know that those scenes go together, for one. But the other is, okay, somebody's going to see it. Some people have speculated, does that mean that everybody who saw that red lightsaber know that there's a Sith out there and they all have to die? Well, that's anticlimactic. They're all going to die. No, they don't all have to die. Because that phrase that the Sith have been dead for 1,000 years ain't what you think it is. It ain't all that. And even if it is, we don't know that they will connect it to a Sith master and apprentice. It could be anything. It could be anything, right? So it's fine. It's Baymax says the naughty music needs to go up about 30%. Okay, well, I normally talk over it so that I don't get Megan Trainor copywriting my that part of the stream. But gotcha. So there you go. I'm not worried about it. The trailer also didn't super hype me. And I'm not so big on it that I think we're gonna see something. Let's see. I just got a message. So earlier today, somebody on Twitter posted there's going to be a live stream tonight where Comics and Cosmetics, the channel Comics and Cosmetics, is going to give the straight dope on how abusive the set was on the Acolyte. And my friend Jason Ward's like, there's a whole culture around bashing the Acolyte and really a lot of negativity around the Acolyte, and nobody has seen it. Nobody's done anything. And so now we're starting to get stories saying, well, things on set were toxic, right? There's a bad work environment. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. We'll see. Jedi Mike, are you hyped for the new witch tribe in the Acolyte? Oh, I said, let's open this article. I want to show you guys some stuff in this article. I really liked it. IGN, I was reading through it, and there's some great information in here. It's an interview with She Who Shall Not Be Named. Whatever, right? It's with Leslie Headland, the showrunner. And they start by just giving the basic outline. It says, it tells a Sith-focused story in a galaxy full of Jedi. So there's your confirmation. It's about the Sith. Well, if it's about the Sith, then how can we not know that the Sith have been around since 1,000 years ago? Calm down. Let the story unfold. And maybe it gets retconned, and that's not going to ruin my childhood. I'll be fine. I'll survive just fine. It'll be fine. It'll be all good, right? But also, creator, director, producer, and showrunner wants to ask the hard questions. She's asking us, the audience, to ask ourselves some of the hard questions around the Jedi. You remember my friend that I mentioned earlier, right? The despicable Jedi and other Jedi who have questionable morals, right? Questionable, right? There's not every Jedi is pure and holy and righteous, right? Not all of them are, and Pong Krell amongst them. You know, I want you to remember, Pong Krell was a Jedi master who was a Fitz says, are you doing the predictions on the Acolyte as well? Yes, I will. Yes, I will, Fitz, as we get closer. So Hedlund explains why she thinks the Acolyte's different. The first question came up. It says, what have you been up to since we last heard from the Acolyte and Star Wars Celebration? And Leslie says, we're actually still filming when Celebration was happening. We finished filming, then production process started, which is really, really interesting. She said, to go from first you shoot all this stuff, but what goes in, what stays out, and the whole visual effects experience, which I had not done before. Some people were saying that she shot this whole thing on location without any use of the volume. And then somebody mentioned, but wait, we see in the trailer, they're right there on Brian. The same place where Kenobi and Anakin fought in the Kenobi series, right? We see them in the same rotunda with the view out back. That's definitely a scene from the it's broadcast out there in the volume, right? Coruscant, right? The Coruscant scene in there where the kid can't close his eyes. That's definitely in the trailer. That was definitely done on the volume. And so Mumbo Jimbo says, I had to step away. Santa, did you already do the Bad Batch prediction run through? I did, Mumbo Jimbo. Just rewind a little bit back and you can catch up. It'd be great. And so the VFX was new to her. So they did use it some, right? She said, I had such a blast doing it. Getting to mix at Skywalker Ranch was a dream come true. Says it's almost like a sprint when you're shooting, and then it's a little more of a marathon when you get into post-production. I had a good time and really in love with the show. It's definitely not out of hardship to keep watching it so many times. Then so in doing the post-production, right, she's going over the same scenes over and over, tweaking and refining, and so going over and over it. The question then is asked, the trailer opens with flashes of prequel trilogy themes with the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, followed by original trilogy themes with the Cantina, before cutting into your own style. Which other Star Wars films and TV shows influenced you? And she says, all the ones you mentioned, obviously. A lot of Coruscant stuff is prequel based. It's a challenge, but we wanted to utilize practical sets for Coruscant. Practical sets. There's where they get some of that. And that meditation room that you see, we want to do it justice, but also have it feel real and tactile. So the way the volume works is the close-up stuff is all real. The stuff in the background is all the blue screen, or in this case, the volume. Rural Farm Boy says, who did this? This is IGN. Who is the interviewer? Ryan Dinsdale on IGN. Dale says, she wanted to do it, wanted to feel real and tactile. They're actually sitting in a, with all the practical set around them with the volume back behind it. And it says, definitely the large amount of Jedi you see in the trailer, I think, is reminiscent of the prequel trilogy, though we don't have any Attack of the Clones level scenes. So there were rumors or some stories that came out last year that said we were going to see more Jedi in this than we'd ever seen anywhere. And she's straight up saying right here, not as much as was in the Attack of the Clones. Speaking of the cantina scene in the Acolyte, I'm confused that the bar patrons in the background of the fight scene seem to still just be hanging out, not scared. Well, I would say go to other cantina scenes where you see this kind of thing happen, including A New Hope. And many of them are like, yeah, okay, yeah, just another fight. And they go on about their business. Yeah, so I'd say it's probably the scum and villainy that hang out there. It's not uncommon to see things happen. She says, I think you're seeing the Jedi when they are at this very large institution, a benevolent one. That's good, right? But they are closer to who they are in The Phantom Menace than in the original trilogy, where they're almost extinct. In a weird way, The Phantom Menace in the prequel trilogy, the Jedi outnumber the Sith. And then in the original trilogy, the Empire outnumbers the Jedi, which is why a show based on bad guys is interesting to me. In that era, what does the underdog look like? Even if they are the bad guy. Oh, but Fitz has to go to get some dinner. We'll see you later, Fitz. Thanks so much. I see where this has gotten some hay too, where they're talking about the Sith being the underdog. Bane's rule of two was all based on saying, if the Force is a fixed volume of power, and you take that fixed volume of power and divide it by 100, the most any one person would have was 1/100th. Let's just say all things being equal, right? Somebody might have more, somebody might have less, but 1/100th on average. However, if the volume of force power is 100 and there's only two, each one would have 50, which is way more than 10. So each one would be stronger than 10 of their, right, or 5 would be stronger than 5 Jedi. So 2 Sith, each one is as strong as half of the entire Jedi population. That was the whole concept behind the rule of two. We're only going to split it between 2 of us, making us uber strong, right? That was the idea. So if you're saying that and you believe the rule of two and Darth Bane's use of it, then you're thinking, well, but that was on purpose so they'd be so strong. That doesn't make them an underdog. They're actually way more powerful than each of those Jedi are. That's true. That's true. But also, when you're trying to recruit somebody new and you're basically unheard of, you've been extinct for 1,000 years, whatever, right? You're hiding. You're not out in the open. You're so weak that you can't just be, walking around. Then, that's it. It says, but also the Clone Wars inspired the Acolyte, a lot being inspired by Night Sisters. Now, somebody just asked a little bit ago about the witches in here. She says, the Night Sisters, we don't have any Night Sisters in this show, but being inspired by them, being inspired by Asajj Ventress. This is my favorite episode is The Wrong Jedi. You see the picture here about The Wrong Jedi. I definitely took some inspiration from that. Ooh. So that's one of my favorite arcs, maybe my very favorite arc from the entire Clone Wars animated series, The Wrong Jedi, where Ahsoka is charged and then she leaves the Jedi Order. Very poignant, very powerful, very emotional series. Really good. And she takes some of her inspiration from that. No Night Sister, she says. It says, we kind of ran the gambit. Let's reference Return of the Jedi here. Let's reference the holding cell based on a Clone Wars episode there. Let's have a cantina because I always wanted one. Oh, everybody's got a cantina, right? Says, because I've always wanted one. I think when you get an opportunity to do Star Wars and you're a Star Wars fan, which she is, right? The idea is to get into a lot of your wish list and hopefully other people are excited by it too. Right? I hope that we can be excited by it and that some of these things aren't just Easter eggs put in there for the sake of Easter eggs. One of the things that makes the my brain is shorting out on me of the other series really powerful is that there are no Easter eggs in it for the sake of Easter eggs, right? It's all done very purposeful. When I quit thinking of it, it'll come back to me. So then no, not Rebels. The series, we're getting season 2 next year. Season 1 was last year. No Way Out. One Way Out. One Way Out. That series. And why can't I think of it? Andor. Yeah, Andor. What made Andor so good is that he wasn't putting Easter eggs in there for the sake of it, right? Yeah. Despite these influences, you've spoken about challenging the Star Wars universe. Do you think The Acolyte bears resemblance to other shows like Mandalorian or Andor? Look, it's right there. I could have seen it. Or do you think it's unique? She says, I think it's very different. We've utilized practical sets much more so than the other shows. Not exclusively, but much more ways than the other shows. And a part of that just came out of necessity. And part of it was a creative choice. We utilize action in a way that I would say you see action in a lot of other shows. And one thing Jason Ward has pointed out is that the volume presents some challenges for directors when there's action. Right? It blurs. It's just not quite action ready. It's great for more still, more casual environments, but when you've got action going on, it kind of starts to fall apart. So she's got a lot of action, which is one of the necessities, right? Because of the influence of the samurai, Musha, and martial arts films, they became part of the storytelling, as opposed to an action sequence, which is exciting to me. Look, the action is there because it's part of the story. It was fantastic. I think it's something that's a little different. Each fight tells you a little bit more about the characters. I think stylistically, that's how they're different. I'm also not sure how Jedi-centric the other shows are. Obviously, Ahsoka is, sort of. I mean, still, there's hardly any Jedi. There's Ahsoka. and at the end, a little sprinkling of Sabine. Plus, you've got Balin and Shin. Ezra's out there somewhere. Not a lot of Jedi around, right? But so Ahsoka is. But we're looking at the Jedi as an institution, as a concept, as an entity that has amassed a lot of power, and that's good. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I think that when Jodie Turner-Smith has that line at the end of the trailer, which says, "It's not about good or bad. This is about power and who's allowed to use it." Really, I think that's the question we're asking. And that quote is almost a direct quote that comes out of Darth Bane. The Bane trilogy is almost a word-by-word quote out of there. And some of the people who are getting super worked up about that line go right back to saying, I don't think you've read the books. Those books that you say you love, I don't think you've read it because it's in the book. This isn't new. And this is almost exact word-by-word copy of what's in there. And they say, well, she lacks originality. She just using quotes. No, that's not what you said. Right? I hear you guys. I watch your videos. I hear what you're saying. See what you're posting. And what you're proving is that you haven't read this stuff. You don't know what in the heck you're talking about. That's what it shows. But here we go. It says, she goes, so it's about who has the power and who's allowed to use it. That's how some people see it. It's not how the Jedi see it. It's how some people see it. Right? They see it this way. It's how they experience it. It doesn't mean it's true. It means it's how it's perceived. Even others talk about how the Jedi are exclusionary, right? So there's that. Seth says, I don't think they've watched the prequels either. Many haven't. She says, it's not somebody good is somebody bad. There's imbalance. Someone might be imbalanced morally, but if there's a power imbalance, how does that affect the power of Star Wars? And we've never seen the good guys outnumber the bad guys to this extent. I guess that's how it's different. Go back and read the Bane trilogy again, right? There was a lot of Sith before Bane got rid of them, and they went to war with the Jedi and killed tons and tons of people, right? This is a little bit different, but I think she's kind of leaning into that a little bit. So Star Wars shows so far are fairly blatantly tied to other projects, but the Acolyte is set a long time, even before the Phantom Menace, like 100 years before. Does it have a start and stop story, or is there room for it to connect to other films and TV later? Leslie responds, I think there's absolutely room for it to grow. I think especially nowadays, it's the kind of person where I'm the kind of person where I want to make sure a season feels legitimately like a whole story. Right? It doesn't do the Ahsoka to you, right? Ahsoka is not a whole story. Clearly not. It ends at the beginning of the story, really. There's a lot of that story to be said, right? Dale, great great quote. Right. He took a little play of words there. Right. She says, I want to make sure it feels like a whole story. And I definitely pepper in a lot of like, here's how this could go. It could go that way. And she says, I also don't want to leave the audience hanging emotionally. I want to leave them hanging narratively, but emotionally, I want them to feel like they've watched the whole thing. And then I still have a bunch of questions at the end, like, wait, now I've learned this relationship exists. What's going to happen to those people? And now that this person has this kind of power, what are we going to do about that? And so I can think it can definitely have some of that, which is great. That's good for the fandom. That's good for speculation. That's good for theory videos. That's good for all kinds of fun. I'm excited about that. So we borrowed a lot from the High Republic in terms of the costuming. We thought it was really cool to start with what we called temple robes, more of the white ones, right? Which in the High Republic, they've always used. But we thought it would be interesting if the white robes were the temple look and the classic brown robes we've seen them in were the mission robes. That when you go out in the world, this is what you wear, the brown stuff, right? But usually the Jedi are wearing white in this area because they're never really getting dirty. They're not really out there. They're not getting into a lot of skirmishes. And obviously we have Vernestra Rowe from the High Republic novels. She's an integral part of the show. A nice link bringing those two together. Boy, am I excited about seeing that. And I know Vernestra Rowe is not going to be the cup of tea for everybody. I already know it. I've read the High Republic. She's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But it's exciting to see that they're bringing that in as a tie-in. And there you have it, right? Vernestra is an interesting character, I think. They're doing more. She's not my favorite of the High Republic, just to be clear, right? I like Bell Zettifer far more. Like he is my favorite for sure. Not even close. And Vernestra is like way down in just the mid tier. She's fine for what she is. And I'm learning more about her. And my ears have been perked since learning she's going to be in this. But she's not my favorite. And I'm not completely sold on the light whip thing. Although that's borrowed from Legends material. There were other light whips in Star Wars before the High Republic. So it is what it is. It says, you're the first woman to create a live action Star Wars showrunner. Now, Deborah Chow, right? She had a lot to do with Kenobi. So I can see people kind of say, well, I mean, just, can you explain how important that is? And if diversity was a big focus while casting, there's an important distinction between diversity in casting and diversity like in storytelling. Right? If you just replace a character with a different character, these are all brand new characters. What's it matter if the character is white, brown, human, alien? doesn't matter, right? Yeah, Seth says Jennifer Corbett too. Absolutely. Don't forget about our Bad Batch, folks. Anyway, she said, I'm very proud to be the first woman to create, produce, direct, and showrun. So there she's like all these things, right? Many women have contributed to the films. Go back to A New Hope, right? Oh, it's a woman that made that from what George shot into what we saw and made it go from what everybody has talked about was a mid-tier to just God-tier movie, right? It was a woman that did that, right? But to be the person at the center of the narrative, the word that's coming to mind is a real honor. It's also special to me. I think it's a thing that is rare. And the fact that I get to be the person that is doing that, I think is a testament to how much I love Star Wars. Right? She loves Star Wars. She's just not brought in from the street. Right? And how I would not stop until I got to make one. So it's a testament to that. And it's a testimony to tenacity. It's a testament to how much I love this world. You know, when you have that kind of passion, that kind of enthusiasm, that kind of love for something, we're just hopeful that it comes through in the show, right? It comes through, something that we love. And, you know, Andor is produced by a guy that's not, and it's not all these things, but you know, it comes through as a fantastic show. So hopefully this comes this way. Mumbo Jimbo with another $5 super chat. Thank you, Mumbo Jimbo. Oh boy. Mumbo Jimbo says, I refuse to believe the Jedi have more than one outfit. Mission robes, ceremonial ones. Nah. The great only have one suit, right? Yeah, Santa, you know, Santa's known for one look. One look. Right. That's funny. That's very good, Mumbo Jimbo. Thank you again for the support. It means a lot to the channel. It really, really does. You guys, I was going to kind of plead with you at the beginning. I'm like $15 short of making my March minimum for YouTube to pay out. And today, you guys are doing it. You're putting me over the top. Mumbo Jimbo, thank you for that. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. I think, and I saw Jedi Mike put a $1 thing earlier. I think he ties into the whole thing you could do on Patreon, which is another great way to support the channel, right? Just go to Patreon. It can, for $1 a month. Yep. For $1 a month, you can support us on Patreon, and that goes a long way as well. Because Patreon doesn't matter, right? That's good. I think with the cast, honestly, they were just the people that I wanted. I saw Squid Game. I had written this character, had no idea who to cast, and I had no idea who was going to be able to play all these different levels. And I thought about Squid Game, and I was like, that's the guy. That's him, right? So, I don't know how I get in touch with this person. I don't know if they want to perform in English, right? To me, it became clearly Lee Jung-jae's part, or Jai, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, as opposed to casting him for the fact that he's a Korean movie star, right? She found the guy. He happens to be Korean. Great. And then when I worked with him, I was like, this is the best actor I've ever worked with. Watching him perform in English for the first time and tracking with the emotional beats, doing so much of his own action. Obviously, he had an amazing stunt team that did his stunts. He did so much of his own action, which I had no idea he could do. And then somebody like Daphne Keane said, I loved so much in Logan that I wrote this character. I was like, you know what would be great? I'd love to see X-23 with a lightsaber. How do we make that happen? So that's what I would say about diversity of the cast. Mostly, there were people that were essentially my first choice. I wrote this part that Charlie Barnett played, who I worked with on Russian Doll. This doesn't give too much away about the character, but he's such an A-plus student. He's like an A-plus Jedi, and that's Charlie in real life. So he's a good actor. He just wants to be really good. So when it came time to casting the character, you know who would be perfect? Charlie. I've seen him do whatever it takes to get the scene. So look, to me, it's about the right motivation. She seems to have the right motivation. Sure, she's casting diversity, but it's not for diversity's sake. It's because the character kind of calls out for this type of actor. Who meets that bill? Oh, Jung Zhuzhui or whatever. He meets that bill, right? From Squid Game. I want him. Can I get him? I don't know. I got this character. Who'd be good? And they look and this guy. That'd be great. Let's go for that. And I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars so much, and hopefully we see that come through as well. So, am I optimistic for the Acolyte? I absolutely am. I'm excited for it. Did the trailer do anything to hype my enthusiasm or excitement? Nah, not really. There's a long way to go to get there in that trailer. It just didn't do it. I'm not a Leslie Headland hater, even though I disagree with everything she does politically, social activism. I disagree with her vehemently on the vast majority of that. But that doesn't make a hill of beans when it comes into how can she make Star Wars. And I haven't seen The Acolyte, and I haven't seen enough of the information about The Acolyte on screen. Seen it. I haven't seen it in the trailer to say, that's the Star Wars for me. Am I hopeful? Yeah. Am I excited? Yeah. I'm hoping to see more. So there you go. Seth says someone should show this paragraph to certain people online. Amen. Absolutely. So, you guys, I've gone really long today. We're pushing 2 hours, and I've got to get back to work. I've got a lot of things to get done today, but I very much wanted to catch up with that TVC Blurrg. Boy, that got Santa excited while I was out in Montreal. The episode 8 of the Bad Batch, I liked it a lot. Episode 9, I'm looking forward to it. And then all this stuff about the Acolyte, we've talked extensively about it. I'm looking forward to it. Mike Porter, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for all you do for all of us. I appreciate it. I'm grateful to all of you for being here today, for supporting the channel. Kieran says, I'm back. What did I miss? Everything. Go back and rewatch it, Kieran. We'll catch you later. I hope you all have a fantastic evening, a fantastic day. We'll see you tomorrow when we can talk about episode 9 of the Bad Batch. And until then, my friends, Merry Christmas, and may the Force be with you always. Bye-bye.